damn, man, this certainly is not the story that we wanted to go out there and talk about in this video, but sometimes things just don't work out the way that you want them to. And it's not your fault or anybody's fault, or maybe it is your fault, maybe you're just not good enough, but in situations like this, when you leave millions of dollars on the table, you take a chance, you take a risk, you go for bigger and better things, and it doesn't work out your way, that's gotta sting. Today, we are talking about a player that is still on the free agent market at the time of recording this audio. He has not signed anywhere. It's Filip Zadina, formerly of the San Jose Sharks, and of course, formerly of the Detroit Red Wings. Because as Bob Duff wrote about earlier yesterday on Detroit Hockey Now, the Filip Zadina gamble to leave the Detroit Red Wings did not pay off. As right now, UFA Filip Zadina is waiting for his third chance in the NHL. Now, Zadina, of course, made headlines back in 2018 when he was taken by the Detroit Red Wings in the 6th overall spot. I think now it's easy to look at that draft and say, oh, wait a minute, the Red Wings could have had Quinn Hughes. That's a Norris-winning guy. Oh my goodness, they missed out on Quinn Hughes and Evan Bouchard. Noah Dobson went later on too. But you have to put your mind back in 2018's vision for a second, because during this draft season, not only was Filip Zadina the consolidatedly ranked 3rd overall guy behind Dahlin and Svechnikov, there was a period during the World Juniors of that year where Zadina absolutely popped off. This is where he put up the crazy numbers at the tournament. I mean, he had 8 points in 7 games played. 7 of those points were goals. There were conversations back in January of 2018 asking, hey, could Zadina and Svechnikov actually swap places? Could Zadina be the 2nd overall pick? And that sounds crazy to anybody listening to this in 2024, but it was kind of the tale of the tape back then. Zadina was this flashy goal scorer who is so capable of putting the puck in the back of the net in a myriad of ways, on the rush, standstill, power play. He was so good at picking his corners, and he was seen as a 30-40 goal potential prospect as a result. So the fact that he slipped from 3rd to 6th overall was a really big deal. Montreal and Arizona both reached on centers. Kotkaniemi and Barrett Hayton went 3 and 5. Brady Tkachuk, of course, went 4th overall. So for the Detroit Red Wings and Ken Holland, he just went with the guy that was there. He went with the guy that was supposed to go a lot higher, and Red Wings fans at the time rejoiced. Filip Zadina was an amazing prospect to have in the system at that time frame. But of course, we all recognize what happened after. Filip Zadina played in Detroit, he played in Grand Rapids. It took him years to eventually become a full-time Detroit Red Wing. He first accomplished that in 2020-2021, the shortened season due to COVID-19. 49 games played, 19 points. Not great. Then in 2021-2022, at the age of 22, he posted up 24 points in 74 games played, and then the year after he regressed to a 7-point season in 30 games played. Also spent some time in Grand Rapids. It wasn't all too great. This is when Filip Zadina decided to take his talents elsewhere, and we'll refer back to this article in Detroit Hockey Now talking about this process here. Filip Zadina walked away from $4.65 million for the second chance that he had received with the San Jose Sharks. They gave him a 1-year deal worth $1.1 million. He had walked away from the 2nd and 3rd years of a Detroit contract that would have paid him $1.83 million and then $2.73 million. And when Filip Zadina did this about a year ago, when it was revealed that he wasn't really happy with the way Detroit was playing him and he wanted a new opportunity elsewhere, they terminated his contract mutually. They had to both agree to do this process, and after Filip Zadina eventually made his way onto the free agent market, it was like, okay, now he's going to sign somewhere and he'll get himself an opportunity, and it happened to be in San Jose. The worst team in the NHL, they had forward spots to burn. Filip Zadina would have an opportunity to start putting the puck in the back of the net more. But He ended off the season with 23 points in 72 games played. A very similar season to his Red Wings stint 2 years ago. He was a minus 44, which of course, that's kind of the territory when you're playing for San Jose, but Zadina just was not that much of a needle mover. Even though the potential did exist for him to be that in the Sharks organization. I mean, if everything worked out, you have Will Smith, William Macklin, Celebrini, Fabian Zetterlund, and Filip Zadina. That's awesome. If Zadina, of course, panned out to his 30-40 goal potential, but he did not show that in the Sharks system, and as a result, they didn't want to re-sign him. He took that gamble on himself, but it did not pay off. A year later, he sits waiting for a call from any other team willing to give him an NHL chance. Zadina did produce a career-best 13 goals last season to give him 41 goals in 262 career NHL games. The Sharks could have retained his rights, but chose not to give him a qualifying offer. That makes him a UFA. Zadina did receive an opportunity to play among the top 6 forwards early in the season. However, by the time the season ended, he was being used the same way the Red Wings used him. His average time on ice with the San Jose Sharks was 13:20. That's just 14 seconds more than his average ice time in his final season with the Red Wings. He finished with 23 points, but was a minus 44, and there are NHL teams looking for a depth forward. However, if he gets a call from a team, he likely will be looking at a minimum contract. His financial gamble to leave the Wings has not paid off. And that, of course, is not really the best thing to go out there and talk about, but it is something that's worth pointing out. That sometimes when you bet on yourself, it just doesn't work. In fact, I feel like the San Jose Sharks have been a part of 2 betting on yourself situations that did not end up working out at all. Kevin Labanc is the other one that I'm thinking of, where the San Jose Sharks had the opportunity to sign him to a pretty reasonable contract, but then he took a 1-year, $1 million deal instead, just to prove it that he could get more the next year. Guess what? It didn't work. That next year saw him put up a career low season, and he ended up signing for a much cheaper dollar amount afterwards. In fact, Kevin Labanc is a UFA right now too. So this has been a very strange coincidence to see San Jose players both go through gambles and losses right here. But for Filip Zadina, you could say this has a lot more magnitude of importance because he was a Detroit Red Wings guy that was taken above Quinn Hughes and Evan Bouchard, and who was supposed to be a top talented prospect, 3rd overall caliber in the 2018 draft, and who did not fulfill any of that potential nor expectations. Could you imagine if the Wings just said, okay, no, not Zadina, we'll take Quinn Hughes instead? And you had Hughes and Sider together, and honestly, I get it. There's an entire, okay, what if, no, they wouldn't have done this, they wouldn't have done that conversation that you could spiral down. If the Wings had Quinn Hughes, a lot of other decisions would have been made differently since 2018. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Filip Zadina and his failed gamble that he had made with the Detroit Red Wings and the San Jose Sharks. What are your thoughts on the way his career is going to progress, and do you still think he's got potential to be a big needle mover at the NHL level? The guy wasn't even used all too much in San Jose, of all teams, and that kind of indicates the level of talent that you could say he is at. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99 and bye.